Hisoka Morrow is the super sus yet captivating magician of Hunter x Hunter. Although normally stealing the show with his battle genius and mid-fight gooning sessions, his origins and early life has always been a mystery. That is until today, as we go through Hisoka's entire life, from beginning to end, from a young circus performer to the undead monster he is at this very moment, and it all starts right now. Hisoka doesn't talk about his past, mostly because he couldn't care less about it. What we do know is that sometime after the Kurta clan massacre, he snuck his way into the Phantom Troop by pretending to be one of them and eventually taking over the number 4 spot. The Hunter x Hunter movie, Phantom Rogue, explores an original backstory of this, showing him defeating a soul dog copy of the original number 4 member, Omokage. But since that movie isn't canon, it's more of a bonus story than an actual backstory. Around that same time, Hisoka introduced Castro to Nin at the Heavens Arena, because he sensed some real potential in the guy. Not long after, he joined the 286 Hunter exam where he casually murdered 20 people, nearly killed an examiner, and got disqualified. By the time he makes his debut in the series, he's back again for another shot at the Hunter license. As for his actual origin story, Togashi keeps it vague. The only canon hint that we got is that Hisoka named his Nin ability after a candy brand and chewing gum brand that he liked when he was a kid, suggesting his favorite treats may have been named Texture Surprise and Bungee Gum respectively. But here's where things get interesting. Sui Ushida, the creator of Tokyo Ghoul, once wrote a one-shot manga exploring Hisoka's early days. It started as an April Fool's joke, but Togashi liked it enough to make it kinda official. Whether it's canon or not is still debatable, but the story gives us a rare peek into a younger, less polished Hisoka. The story takes place in Glam Gasland, a flashy little corner of the world known for its over-the-top performances and constant hunger for entertainment. That's where a young, bloodied Hisoka is found lying in the street of Morrow, the eccentric ringmaster of a traveling circus. Morrow is prepping for a big show at the prestigious Barjack Princess Hotel, and when he asks the strange kid if he knows any tricks, Hisoka casually pulls off a card trick that blows him away. From that point on, Morrow sees raw, untapped talent and invites him into the troupe. Not everyone is thrilled. Abaki, one of the performers, is immediately suspicious. You don't just find kids lying in the road without some baggage. While out in the marketplace, she and Morrow spotted a wanted poster for a serial killer dubbed John Doe, known for crushing his victims and constantly changing faces, earning him the nickname 100 Face. The guy is a killer and a showman as he makes sure he's seen by security cams just for the attention. Back at the circus, one of the jugglers injures himself, and Hisoka steps in to fill in the gap. He performs with ridiculous precision and quickly earns the spotlight. This doesn't sit well with fellow performer Yasuda, who tries to sabotage him mid-performance. Despite the badly thrown batons, Hisoka performs well and owns the moment. Yasuda storms out, and the rest of the troupe starts training in secret to avoid giving Hisoka any more ideas. As time passes, Hisoka starts noticing strange things, like a faint shimmer around Morrow. Turns out, it's aura. Morrow begins teaching him the basics of Nin, and he picks it up way faster than he should. Abaki eventually explains more about Morrow's past. He once tried to become a hunter, failed miserably, and never attempted it again. But he clearly still wants a connection to that world, maybe through a student who could succeed where he couldn't. Abaki herself vows to take the hunter exam too. And Hisoka's progress is insane. What normally takes a year to learn, he masters in days. He finds out he's a transmuter, just like Morrow. Not long after, Abaki goes missing during a trip to town. She's attacked by a man she believes is John Doe, and although she tries to fight back using Nin, he nearly kills her. Hisoka shows up just in time to save her, slashing the man's eye and forcing him to retreat. Later, Hisoka performs at the Royal Glam Hotel in front of the powerful Glam Clan. The act is a hit, and the troupe gets their moment of fame. But after the show, he confronts Morrow. He figured out that Morrow is John Doe and called him out. Morrow admits everything. He's obsessed with surprising people and even killed his own sister just to see her reaction. The circus was his attempt to keep those urges control, but it clearly didn't work. Then a fight ensues. Morrow uses his face-swapping Scarf Ace ability and traps Hisoka using magnetic bars with his blood magnet Nin technique. But he pulls out a trick Morrow never taught him. He uses Gyo and spots the bars. He escapes the trap, turns the table, and finally debuts his own Nin ability, a transmutation-type power that mimics the properties of both rubber and gum, calling it Bungee Gum. Using it, he redirects the magnetic bars back at Morotonio and kills him. Before leaving, he changes Morotonio's face to the same one he wore when he attacked Tabaki, framing him posthumously as John Doe. Hisoka makes a grand return in the 287th Hunter exam as applicant 44 and is already infamous for causing chaos in the previous exam. From the jump, he doesn't waste time reminding everyone why he's a problem. An unlucky applicant bumps into him, and not long after that, the guy's arms are gone. The first phase kicks off with a deceptively simple task. Follow the examiner Satots through a never-ending underground tunnel which turns out to be over 80 kilometers long. And while most are gasping for air, he breezes through like it's a light jog. Then comes the real fun, the Milsey Wetlands. This place is basically a death trap full of fog and man-eating creatures that disguise themselves as people. As they begin to cross the swamps and reach the end of the phase site, a man suddenly appears, claiming to be the real examiner and accuses Satos of being a man-faced ape who infiltrated the exam to trick the applicants. As the applicants begin to suspect Satos, Hisoka did this.
I see. That settles it then. So you are the real one.
As they continue to traverse the foggy wetlands, Hisoka's bloodlust kicks in hard, and in the cover of the fog, he starts playing Examiner by attacking other participants who have lost sight of Satos and the frontrunners. He takes down most of them with no effort until Kurapika and Leorio are left. The two run in opposite directions to increase their chances, and Hisoka seems impressed by the tactic. But when Leorio comes back to fight him head on, he toys with him and ends up getting blindsided by Gon's fishing rod when the latter came back to search for his friends. Instead of getting angry, he gets intrigued by these brave applicants. He knocks out Leorio, sizes Gon up, and declares they passed the test. After that, he casually walks off with an unconscious Leorio over his shoulder, and slicing through any monster that gets in his way until they reach the destination. The second phase, run by gourmet hunters Menchi and Buhara, involves cooking. He easily passes the first test by hunting and preparing a great stand for Buhara, who devours all their dishes with delight and lets everyone pass. But things get troublesome when the strict Menchi demands sushi for the second round. Like everyone else, he fails miserably, until Chairman Netero steps in and changes the rules. Menchi admits her mistake and takes them to Split Mountain, where she demonstrates to retrieve a spider-eagle egg. She then instructs the applicants to do the same and boil the eggs. With the revised challenge, Hisoka manages to clear the challenge and passes the second phase. On board the airship that will take them to the third phase site, the examiners note that Hisoka gives off a ridiculous amount of bloodlust and seems to be testing them just as much as they're testing him. Satos even says Hisoka is on their level. In phase 3, the candidates are brought on top of the trick tower and are given 72 hours to reach the bottom. As Hisoka descends into the bottom floor, he gets ambushed by Togari, the former examiner he attacked in the previous exam. Togari is able to cut Hisoka's shoulder with his knives, but Hisoka shrugs it off and catches the guy's weapon mid-spin before decapitating him. He then reaches the bottom faster than anyone in 6 hours and 17 minutes. Phase 4 is a battle royale on Zevel Island, where everyone is given a target to track and to steal their badge for points. The test requires examinees to acquire 6 points worth of badges within 1 week, 3 points for their own badge, 3 points for their target's badge, and 1 point for any other badges. Hisoka couldn't care less who his assigned target is. He just wanders around and waits for fun to find him. Gon, who has been secretly tailing him, gets close thanks to the butterflies attracted to Hisoka's bleeding shoulder. Before Gon makes a move, Hisoka is challenged by a dying warrior named Gauze, but refuses to fight someone already on death's door. Gitaraku steps in to grant Gauze his final battle and then hands Hisoka a badge. Gitaraku then reveals his true appearance and turns out to be Illumi Zoldyck in disguise. As night sets in, Hisoka finally decides it's time to move and complete the test by collecting random badges. He runs into Leorio and Kurapika again. Impressed by their growth, he accepts trading a badge for free and lets them walk away. But he still needs a kill to let off some steam. He finds Agon and ends him immediately. Right then, Gon makes his move and successfully steals his badge. Amused and impressed, he follows Gon's trail and ends up killing his actual target, Goretta, who appears to have targeted Gon, incapacitating him with his poison dart. He gives his badge and the boy's badge back to him while recognizing his potential, saying he had already completed the necessary points by getting Garetta's badge and the badges that he got from Guitar Wrecker, Kurapika, and Agon. Gon is not thrilled to owe him anything and refuses the badge, but Hisoka did this.
I've decided to let you live for now. And I plan to let you continue living for as long as it suits me. Until someday, you become truly worthy of killing. I will take it back, but only when you can punch me in the face like that.
With the 1 week time limit up, Hisoka is among the 9 examinees who passed the 4th phase. When interviewed by Chairman Netero and asked why he wants to become a hunter, he said that a hunter license could give him the freedom to do whatever he wants, especially the stuff that most people can't get away with. He got his eyes on Killua and Gon, but says he's in no hurry to fight them yet. He then challenges Netero, who just brushes him off like an annoying fly. The final round is a one-on-one elimination tournament. Win your match and you become a hunter. Lose and you still have a shot, but you'll need to win later fights. Hisoka watches Gon's match with Hanzo closely, intrigued by how far the kid's willing to go and forcing his opponent to surrender. Hisoka's first fight is against Kurapika, but after a brief exchange, he says something in private and just forfeits. Next, he fights Bodoro and dominates him, but Bodoro refuses to give up. Just like what he did to Kurapika, he whispers something to his knockdown opponent, but this time Bodoro surrenders. With that, he officially earns his license. As the exam wraps up, he notices Gon confronting Illumi, telling him that he's going to save Killua from them after the latter fails the exam and returns home. After Gon takes his leave, Illumi mutters that it would have been best to deal with Gon now before he causes trouble to the Zoldyck family. Hisoka then ominously warns Illumi not to mess with Gon, not because he cares, but just because Gon is his target. After Gon, Kurapika, and Leorio pull off a successful rescue mission at the Zoldyck estate, the squad parts ways for now, with a promise to meet up again on September 1st in York New City. With 6 months to go before their reunion, Gon and Killua head straight to Heaven's Arena to train and earn money at the same time. Gon decides to settle the score with Hisoka first before returning home to Whale Island. But of course, Hisoka's already a few steps ahead as he's waiting for them at Heaven's Arena. When the boys reach the 200th floor, Hisoka blocks their path using Rin, basically as a way to test them. With the two unable to break through his wall of aura, he tells them flat out that they're not ready to step into his domain yet. So Gon and Killua head back to learn the basics of Nin from Wing. Once they got 10 down, they return, and this time Hisoka lets them through. He even throws Gon a bone, win one match on this floor, and maybe he will fight him. Gon's fight against Guido catches his eye, especially when Gon enters Zet's mid-battle. Then comes his fight with Castro, a fighter still stewing over the past loss to Hisoka. This time Castro starts strong. He's landing hits from impossible angles and jumping to a 4-0 lead like he's figured him out. But Hisoka remains calm, even when his right arm gets sliced cleaned off. Turns out, he's letting Castro show his hand, which turns out to be a Nin clone. With the secret out, he gets serious and uses magic tricks and sleight of hand mid-fight to distract his opponent. When Castro sends his clone and severs his left arm, his supposedly lost right arm is suddenly back. This is because he tricked Castro by hiding his severed right arm using bungee gum and placed it back using texture surprise to give the illusion that his right arm is fully restored. The moment Castro realizes he's in deep trouble, Hisoka finishes it. One hit to the chin using his severed left arm, then a final blow with cards to seal the victory. After the match, Manchi shows up to stitch Hisoka's arms back together. She uses Nin threads to reattach both arms, while Hisoka uses bungee gum and texture surprise to hide the damage. We also learn that Hisoka has been using In the whole time during his fight, to keep parts of his aura invisible, giving him the upper hand. He was setting up every move mid-fight without Castro ever catching on. Manchi drops a reminder that the Phantom Troop is meeting in York New City at the end of August, and Corello's not going to be thrilled if he ghosts them again. He shrugs it off, even tries to flirt, but Manchi's out before he finishes his sentence. Later, while showering, he casually peels off the fake spider tattoo from his back, which turns out to be made from texture surprise. This reveals that his spot in the troop is just another layer of misdirection. Meanwhile, Gon clears his matches against Guido and Revo and declares he's ready for Hisoka. They agree to fight on July 10th. Come fight day, he's practically vibrating with anticipation. At first, he barely moves as he casually dodges and blocks everything Gon throws at him. But then, Gon comes up with this move.
He shattered the tile to create a hail of rubble. Gon. Where is he?
After landing a clean punch on him, Gon approaches him and gives his badge back, and he takes it. It's symbolic. It's Gon's way of saying, I'm ready now, and Hisoka acknowledging his strength. Hisoka then cranks things up. He figures out Gon's an enhancer, drops the Nin personality test info, and reveals himself as a transmuter. From there, it's all downhill from Gon. He is faster, stronger, and straight up playing with him. Gon tries to keep his distance, but Gunji Bum reels him right back in for a brutal hit. He then messes with Gon mentally, asking him to guess when he attached bungee gum. None of the answers Gon picked are right because the real answer wasn't even offered. When Gon charges head on, he's so thrilled that he has to consciously pull himself back from actually killing Gon. He takes a few hits just to savor the moment before countering with a punch. Then, while Gon argues with the referee after giving Hisoka an extra knockdown point, he sneakily attaches bungee gum to a rock and yanks Gon into a surprise punch, ending the match with another victory and the eligibility to challenge a floor master. As he walks away, he tells Gon their next fight won't just be a match, it'll be the real deal. To the death. On August 31st, Hisoka meets up with the Phantom Troop in a rundown building in York New City. Their leader, Morrow, gives the green light to raid the Mafia's underground auction. By the night of September 1st, a hot air balloon transports some members of the troop to the auction site. Hisoka is among the members who stay behind their hideout, along with Morrow, Finks, Pakunoda, Kortopi, and Benolanov. He listens in on Morrow's phone call with Uvugin, who's talking about a potential traitor in their ranks after they found out that the vault is empty, and all items were moved even before they've arrived. When Kurapika captures Uvugin, Hisoka slips out to meet with Kurapika, following up on a previous arranged plan. He shares that he only joined the troop to eventually fight Morrow, and offers Kurapika intel on 7 of the spiders in exchange for an alliance. Kurapika doesn't give an answer right away, and instead asks about the Scarlet Eyes, which Hisoka believes were already sold. Before they can go any further, Melody sends word that Uvugin has escaped, and Kurapika leaves, saying they'll continue the conversation the next day. After Kurapika kills Uvugin, the troop sets out to hunt down the Chain Dude for revenge, with Hisoka keeping his mouth shut on the target's identity. September 2nd throws in a surprise as he crosses paths with Gon and Killua after they are captured and brought to the troop's hideout. They pretend not to know each other. Killua later catches on that the mysterious Chain Dude they're searching for must be Kurapika. When the arm wrestling between Gon and Nobunaga heats up, Hisoka keeps up appearances and threatens Killua to stay still. When the troop decides to investigate and gather more information about the chain user, Machi gets stuck with him as a partner since Nobunaga is babysitting Gon and Killua in their hideout. That night, the troop kicks off their big move at the auction. Hisoka is supposed to stir up chaos, but he mostly just hangs out on a rooftop watching the carnage unfold. Eventually, he joins the action. After the 10 Dons are assassinated, the troop takes full control of the auction and kills everyone in their path. With Kortopi's ability, they fake some of their members' deaths and clone the auction items to sell the copies at a rescheduled event. Hisoka blends in as auction staff and keeps a low profile when Kurapika shows up to collect the fake Scarlet Eyes. He tries to tell Kurapika later that the corpses are bogus, but the call doesn't go through. By September 4th, Morrow says it's time to leave York New. Nobunaga pushes back, so Morrow uses Lovely Ghost Rider, the fortune-telling ability he stole from Neon Nostrad. The fortune says fighting the Chain Dude will get 5 members killed. Hisoka uses this opportunity to finally send Kurapika the info about the fake corpses, which is part of a larger plan to keep the troop around so he can challenge Morrow. Morrow writes fortunes for most of the troop, including Hisoka. Unfortunately for the magician, his own fortune reveals that he plans to fight Morrow on Tuesday and predicts that half the troop will be dead by then. Pakunoda demands to read it, so he fakes a safer version using texture surprise. It hints that leaving the hideout means death, tricking the others into thinking he's still loyal. When things get tense, Morrow conveniently blames Kurapika for manipulating Hisoka into playing along. And it works. Morrow delays the departure, and Hisoka gets paired with Franklin and Bonolanov to stay in their secret base while the others go after the chain user. Once he hears that Morrow's been captured by Kurapika, he hires Illumi to disguise as him and take his place at the hideout. Kaluto then keeps Franklin and Bonolanov distracted to allow the swap. Hisoka follows Pakunoda to the airport where the latter is to bring the hostages Gon and Killua in exchange for Chrollo. He threatens the lives of Gon and Killua to make sure Kurapika lets him board the blimp. Once the hostage exchange is completed, he finally gets a chance to face Chrollo one-on-one. He reveals the truth that he was never a real troop member and challenges Chrollo to a fight. Since Hisoka was never an official member of the Phantom Troop, Chrollo didn't have to follow any restrictions when dealing with him. That loophole gave Chrollo the freedom to speak openly and reveal the truth.
We can talk, because you aren't a troop member. I can't fight you. Or rather, I'm simply not worth the trouble. Because, you see, he stabbed his judgment chain directly into my heart. I can't use Nen anymore.
Hisoka spares him, tells Pakunoda he's not interested in broken toys, and walks away, leaving the troop for good. Hisoka heads to Greed Island with one goal in mind, to find an exorcist who can remove the Nen restriction on Chrollo. He uses Chrollo's name when registering for the game, hoping it'll catch the attention of any Phantom Troop members who also entered the game. He spends most of his time near the spell card shop in Masadora, figuring it's the best spot to bump into a large number of players. Sure enough, Gon gets close enough for his name to appear on his contact list, and so do Shizuku, Franklin, Shalinark, and Finks. He's approached by the group and offers to bring the exorcist to Chrollo once they find one. While Gon, Killua, Biscuit, and Gorenu focus on clearing Razor's challenge, Gon starts digging into the identity of the Chrollo and his binder. They fly over and find Hisoka bathing in a lake. Realizing how much stronger the kids have gotten, he guesses Biscuit must be training them. To avoid raising suspicions, he says he's just there to find Chrollo, not to search for an exorcist. He agrees to help them with Razor's challenge after Biscuit asks. He pretends to be clueless about spell cards and takes the groups to II to scout more players. Meanwhile, Killua starts suspecting that he is hiding the fact that he's already met other spiders on the island. Gon later asks him to check if he's come across Susageta as a clever trick to peek into his binder, but he uses Texture Surprise to hide the name of troop members in his contact list. Eventually, they reach out to Susageta and the group teams up to beat Razor and his 14 Devils in a series of sports and acquire the rare designated slot card, Plot of the Beach. Hisoka volunteers to play a soccer juggling game considering his bungee gum tricks. After a week, they head to Sofrabi, win 3 challenges, and finally face off against Razor in a full-blown dodgeball match. During the match, Gon passes him the ball and he uses bungee gum to toss it and snap it back. He takes out one of Razor's devils, but Razor fuses 2 others to block the retrieval. After Gon has taken out the game, he dodges a brutal shot from Razor and manages to catch it using bungee gum when one Razor Nen Beast throws it back at him at point blank range. He ends up breaking 2 fingers in the process. Gon uses back to return to the game after Biscuit is taken out. He is clearly delighted when Gon showcases his strength, takes out Razor, and forces him to use back. With Razor's turn to throw the ball using his full strength, Hisoka teams up with Gon and Killua for a final coordinated move. His role is to keep the ball from bouncing out of play after Gon catches it. The plan works. Gon then fires off one last massive rock, but Razor impressively returns the ball. Razor is pretty confident that Gon won't dodge, but Gon feints and accidentally dodges the ball. Hisoka knows all too well that Gon wants total victory, so he grabs the ball with bungee gum and hurls it back, making sure it sticks to Razor's hands so he can't smack it away. Then he caps it off with his now painfully overused catchphrase.
The ball is stuck! Bungee gum contains the properties of both rubber and gum, you see.
After their win, Hisoka parted ways with him. Later on, Finks takes him to where the rest of the spiders have gathered after locating the exorcist. He asks how they managed to find the guy, and when no one answers, he starts getting suspicious about someone watching from nearby. Kaluto, his own replacement in the troop, steps out and he seems pleased. He then casually asks Machi, between him and Chrollo, who would she rather see survive. When she makes it clear she'd go after him if he killed Chrollo, he actually seems to like the idea. A few weeks later, the exorcist, named Abagane, can be seen leaving Greed Island alongside Hisoka. After the whole Chimera Ant disaster leaves Netero dead and Gon barely clinging to life, Hisoka pops back up during the first round of the 13th Hunter chairman election. He's not there to vote, but rather to scout. He casually sizes up the hunters in the room like it's his own private talent show, giving silent scores and clearly enjoying the raw strength some of the Zodiacs are packing. particularly Kanzai, Ginta, and Paimon. Then, just to mess around, he flashes his blank ballot before casting it, clearly not interested in playing by anyone else's rules. While the other hunters get caught up in the election politics, he just sits back, unimpressed by most of the pro-hunters around. None of them seem worth his time. Then suddenly, he feels a strong presence. And of course, it's Illumi. The two reunite, and Illumi fills them in on everything. Netero's death, the mess with Alika, and now Killua is trying to save Gon using Alika's powers that could literally kill everyone if mishandled, including Hisoka. They end up chatting in an airship bar, where Illumi spills the details on Alika's wish-granting ability and asks Hisoka for help. He wants to kill Alika to avoid the risk, but Hisoka's more interested in chaos than caution. As Killua travels to Gon's hospital with Alika and their butlers, Illumi manipulates drivers into causing a crash. As they watch from the sidelines, he offers to kill Killua instead to clearly just stir the pot. Illumi doesn't appreciate the joke and threatens him while oozing with an overwhelming bloodlust. But that's exactly what Hisoka wanted. He wanted Killua to sense the danger and know that they were close. Soon after, Hisoka faces off with Goto while Killua escapes with Alika using Godspeed. Goto stays behind to buy them time, but Hisoka doesn't take long to overwhelm him. He's so confident he doesn't mind revealing the secret behind his nin ability, tossing in that same tired catchphrase while he's at it.
My aura has qualities of both gum and rubber.
At first, Goto's coin-firing technique holds him off, but Bungee Gum proves too versatile. He turns the coins against Goto and ends it with a clean throat slice. Later, he and Illumi regroup at Parasta Airport, where they watch Killua escape with Alika on an aircraft while trying to figure out Killua's next move. He suggests ambushing them at the hospital, but Illumi shoots the idea down since the place is heavily guarded by several hunters. Instead, Illumi reveals a creepy ability to control people with nin-infused needles, and asks him to help him track down Alika. They stay in contact as they eliminate more of their pursuers, particularly the hunters sent by the reformed Pure Paladin squad headed by Teradine Neutral. He later finds a flight map from one of the hunters he killed and offers to send Illumi a version edited with texture surprise, but Illumi already has the info and knows which aircraft Killua and Alika are on. Despite being Illumi's partner in all this, he can't keep his bloodlust in check. When Illumi gets close to the siblings, he's already lurking in the trees and debating who he wants to kill more, Alika, which would enrage Killua, or Killua, which would make Illumi his enemy. Either way, the idea seems to thrill him. He's next seen casually walking out of an elevator and heading straight to Teradine Neutral's room, and then killing him without a second thought. After getting his nin restrictions removed by Abengane, Chrollo finally agrees to a deathmatch with Hisoka at Heaven's Arena. The moment the fight kicks off, Chrollo wastes no time. He activates Shalonark's ability, controls the referee like a puppet, and uses him to attack Hisoka. Hisoka suspects it's a setup for a second antenna, but Chrollo fakes him out and stomps him into the ground instead. He flings the ref at Chrollo to break free, but Chrollo keeps the pressure on, showing off a new ability and some serious multitasking skills. Turns out, Chrollo can now use multiple abilities at once and doesn't need to hold his book anymore. He's thrilled. It's exactly the kind of challenge he lives for. Chrollo starts mixing and matching stolen powers. He uses Order Stamp and Cortopi's Gallery Fake to turn the ref's copy into a puppet. Hisoka quickly figures it out and disables it by decapitating it, but Chrollo's just getting started. He throws Convert Hands into the mix and keeps the pressure high. Chrollo then casually reveals that one of the powers he's using, the Sun and Moon, came from someone who's already dead, which means that their nin is way stronger now. Hisoka realizes this is a problem, especially because this post-mortem nin ability has effects that won't disappear unless they explode. Chrollo's confidence is sky high, but Hisoka isn't backing down. He charges back in, but things escalate when Chrollo disappears into the crowd, disguising himself with covert hands, and uses Black Voice to make the audience attack Hisoka. With about 30 puppets rushing at him, he pulls back, using Bungee Gum, but they pile up and catch him anyways. Chrollo sneaks in another hit while he's fending them off. He fires back with a sneaky move using a severed head and actually manages to land a hit, but it's not enough to stop Chrollo completely. As the battle drags on, he tries to figure out Chrollo's plan by watching which abilities deactivate. He finally catches someone he thinks is Chrollo and pins him with Bungee Gum, only to realize it was a look-alike puppet. Chrollo had used Covert Hands again to throw him off. With time running out and rescue crews about to show up, Chrollo unleashes everything. He hijacks the arena's mic and compares his puppets to Break Hisoka. Hisoka responds by absolutely wrecking them, using bungee gum to swing them like weapons. But then, one of the heads explode in his hand, blowing off most of it. He pieces together how Chrollo rigged the explosion and keeps fighting while taking out more puppets from the sidelines. But Chrollo set a trap. With more explosive puppets waiting for him, one blast sends him flying straight into another batch of them. He tries to escape but gets knocked down into the ring, where he's finally overwhelmed by an explosion. Next time we see him, Hisoka is dead. Or seems to be. His face is wrecked, and Machi, Shaonark, and Kortopi are standing over him. Shaonark explains he used a pile of puppets to absorb the worst of the blast, but ended up suffocating anyways. The others leave, but Machi stays behind to stitch him up, per Hisoka's last request before his death. And just as she starts working, Hisoka's auras flames to life, and surprise, he's back. Turns out Hisoka used bungee gum to jumpstart his heart and lungs, which are still in good condition after his death. This allowed him to not only survive, but also to achieve post-mortem nin, a concept he applied after hearing it from Chrollo. He admits the fight was a rude awakening, and that facing Chrollo and an army of puppets at once was a bit much. Still, he gets right back to work, patches himself up with bungee gum and texture surprise, and replaces his lost limbs with nin tricks. He decides that next time he'll be picking the terms and the place. Before leaving, he restrains Machi with bungee gum and announces his new mission of killing every last member of the Phantom Troop, and that he's sparing her so that she can pass the message to the rest of the troop. Meanwhile, Shaonark is at a playground and on a call with Chrollo while planning their heist on the Kakin Empire ship en route to the Dark Continent. Kortopi has been in the bathroom for a while, but instead of him, it's Hisoka who walks out. Shaonark rushes over and gets Kortopi's severed head tossed at him. Hisoka kills him in one brutal hit, then arranges their bodies like some grotesque art piece while crows start feasting upon their corpses. Hisoka then walks away and menacingly declares that with 2 men down, there are 10 to go. The Phantom Troop has officially boarded the Kakin Empire's massive cruise turned battle royale, the Black Whale. But instead of treasures, the Spiders are on a personal mission now, which is to find and kill Hisoka. While the Kakin princes do their own thing of eliminating each other until only one remains to succeed the throne, the Phantom Troop also has business of their own. Things kick off in Tier 5's Central Dining Hall, where Finks, Franklin, Nobunaga, and Phaeton shake down a few Boer family guys. Their current tactic is absurd, but kind of on brand. Find everyone taller than 6'2" and check their room numbers. It's like hunting Hisoka via height chart. Meanwhile, Chrollo and Machi bicker over who gets the honor of killing Hisoka, but the group's bloodlust isn't exactly a one-on-one duel situation anymore, since everyone wants a piece of him. Chrollo is confident that Hisoka is hiding somewhere on the ship, and Machi is now on active hunt duty. 2 days later, the whole troop gathers again in the same dining hall. Still no sign of Hisoka, but Illumi finally steps into the game. Turns out, he's the newest member of the Spiders and joined on Hisoka's own request no less. Interestingly, Hisoka hired Illumi to kill him as part of their weird lethal game of tag. If Hisoka dies, Illumi cashes in. The troop split up, scour the ship, but Shizuku and Benolanov stick with Chrollo. They admit their abilities aren't cut for dealing with bungee gum, so they'll support him instead. Chrollo agrees, but he's clear that if anyone's killing Hisoka, it'll be him. Elsewhere, Kakian Mafia families Sha'ar and Ji-Yu are also after Hisoka, mostly to avoid getting caught in the crossfire. Onyor and Brocco Lee send their underbosses, Henry and Kenny, to track him down before the Spiders do. Both crews throw money at the problem, offering 10 million to anyone who could sniff out Hisoka's location. They're not looking to fight him, they just want to stay ahead of the chaos. Back on Tier 5, Nobunaga, Finks, and Phaeton suit up for war. They head to retrieve weapons, only to find the warehouse guards dead and a trail of blood leading away. It's a gruesome scene, but the wound doesn't match Hisoka's signature style as it was too sloppy, so they deduce it's not Hisoka's work. Meanwhile, Franklin is chilling in the dining hall playing the long game. He figures Hisoka will show up eventually. When confronted by Cha'ar family members, he clarifies the troop isn't behind the recent deaths, but he also confirms the obvious that they're here for Hisoka, and nothing else matters until that job is done. Finks later explains the plan to Cha'ar higher-ups. Since Hisoka isn't on Tier 5, it's time to search upwards. They ask for access to higher tiers, promising to deal with any threats along the way. As pressure builds, both Cha'ar and Ji-Yu families realize controlling the troop means tracking Hisoka. They reluctantly greenlight the spider hunt through Tier 4 and beyond. On Tier 3, Henry joins Zakuro and Lynch in the search. Zakuro uses a particularly gross nin ability that turns blood into mobile search blobs that creep along the walls in search for their target. Eventually, one spots a tall man. Lynch tests him with her nin ability that forces any target to answer honestly when she punches them. Her ability confirms this one's a false alarm. Still, they keep moving. Every tall guy gets the same treatment. They're casting a wide net because everyone knows if Hisoka's hiding, he's not making it easy. Lynch figured that they could skip the whole weak-looking targets because Hisoka wouldn't be hiding as some scrawny guy, right? But Zakuro wasn't so sure. If Hisoka had some ability that let him change his appearance, their whole approach was trash. They spotted a guy with his hair down and no makeup. He looked like Hisoka, just a bit more low-key. So naturally, they followed him. When they got him alone, Lynch asked if he is Hisoka before punching him. However, she instantly hit the ground when the man knocks her out of reflex. Zakuro froze. Whatever just happened, it was fast and brutal. The tall guy casually asked what Zakuro wanted, and suddenly the air got heavy. Zakuro could feel the guy's overwhelming presence in his bones. This had to be Hisoka. Terrified, but trying to keep it together, Zakuro offered him a chance to get more info if he came with them. Hisoka didn't say much, he just smirked. That alone was enough to make Zakuro sweat harder. Except, plot twist, that wasn't Hisoka at all. It was Bonolanov in disguise. He knocked Zakuro out, then disguised himself as him. Lynch came to, and upon seeing Zakuro, admitted that Hisoka was fake. Bonolanov killed her and took her appearance next. Meanwhile, back with the Shahar family, Sudanke was busy looking for someone matching Hisoka's stats, while Kenny was trying to make moves. He figured the smartest path forward was to find Hisoka and then use him as a weapon to take out both the troop and the Haley family. Let the monsters fight each other while the Mafia stayed out of the crossfire. Kenny also realized that Hisoka was unpredictable, maybe even suicidal in the way he fights. But that didn't change the fact that if they could weaponize him, they had a shot at winning this war without lifting a finger. Elsewhere, the troop was still killing Haley family members, but their real goal hadn't changed. They wanted Hisoka. Finks and Nobunaga knew the Mafia stuff was a distraction. The moment they found Hisoka, everything else could wait. Back on Tier 3, Zakuro woke up in a pile of trash. Lynch, who was Bonolanov in disguise, asked if Hisoka knocked him out. Zakuro said yeah, and that Hisoka disappeared as soon as he let his guard down. They agreed that they were way in over their heads and should report to Henry. Later, at the cinema, Henry met with Hisoka, who was actually Bonolanov. He pitched a deal to stay out of the Mafia war for now, chill in Tier 1, and once the chaos was over, he could do whatever he wanted with the troop. Hisoka seemed amused and played along, even pretending to accept a VIP pass, though he made it clear he wasn't backing down if the troop came for him first. Kenny, now aware that Henry had already met Hisoka, suggests they point the troop at the Haley instead and let the chaos run its course. Meanwhile, Finks and Nobunaga circled back to their real mission and continued their hunt for Hisoka. They planned to push towards the upper tiers and bring Franken along for extra firepower. Nobunaga even admitted that one of the Haley members was kinda fun to fight, but Phaeton reminded him not to get too attached. On the 11th day of the voyage, Hisoka finally shows up, and he does it in classic Hisoka fashion. Not with a bang, but with a poker game. He sits down in Tier 1's casino to play SQX, a fancy poker variant. Spectators gather to watch, buzzing about the rules while Hisoka casually draws cards twice before revealing his hand and calling the game. It's not about money for him, he's just here to pass the time. He even lands a jackpot spin with 777s on the slot machine, but walks away without claiming the prize. As he roams the casino, he sinks into his own thoughts, thinking less about money or glory and more about deadly intimate battles that really get his blood pumping. He reflects on why the Chimera Ant conflict left him as cold, as it wasn't personal enough. Even the rumbling Nin Beast didn't do it for him. He reassures himself that he's normal, in his own twisted way. He's not here for Beast or crowd control spectacles. He just wants a one-on-one deathmatch with someone worthy. While he's enjoying his solitude, Bonolanov, currently disguised as Hisoka, spots him from across the casino. Instantly, Bonolanov bails to a bathroom and changes identities, ditching the Hisoka disguise for a new one. Krollo had asked Bonolanov to take Hisoka's form as part of the plan, but now that the real deal is out and about, sticking around like that is a death sentence. The next day, Henry and Zakuro stumble across Lynch's corpse. It's a brutal discovery, and they immediately piece together a theory that Lynch had encountered the fake Hisoka, probably figured out that he wasn't the real one using her Nin ability, and got it killed for it. Sakura was left alive, likely as a way to tip off the rest of the Mafia that Hisoka had been found. They both realize that someone is impersonating Hisoka, not just to fool others, but to disrupt the Mafia's search and buy themselves some time. Meanwhile, on Tier 3, the crowd is preparing for Prince Hulkenberg's funeral procession. Chrollo is among them, silently watching. While everyone else mourns, he's got other things on his mind, namely tracking Hisoka and locating the Kaken's royal treasures. He tries to use a conjured cell phone via Nin, but the signal's weak, and he can't make contact. Frustrated, he debates whether to head up to Tier 1 despite the risk. Hisoka might be up there, but so are all the strongest players and Nin users in the Succession War. Beyond hunting Hisoka, he's also targeting the 3 sacred treasures of Kaken: the Seed Urn, the Lotus Anchorite, and the Sword of Good Omens. These relics are spiritual anchors for the entire Succession contest and supposedly tied to powerful Nin rituals. If Chrollo can get his hands on them, he believes that he can upgrade his Skill Hunter ability that allows him to steal some OP Nin power that can finally beat Hisoka for good. There is a condition though. To unlock this power-up, he first has to steal something equivalent to a national treasure before he even activates the ability, and the 3 sacred treasures of Kaken fit the bill. He's convinced that Tier 1 is where the treasures are kept, protected more fiercely than even the king himself. Stealing one would give him the edge he needs in a rematch with Hisoka. Despite the looming confrontation, he isn't rushing. He's carefully setting the stage, all while knowing the real Hisoka is somewhere close. He tries one more call, and this time, the signal connects. His target has been found, but they're somewhere beyond the Nin's signal range, likely higher up. If he levels up Skill Hunter the way he's planning, he could walk into that rematch with an arsenal so stacked that even Hisoka's elastic explosive tricks won't be enough. 2 predators, 1 ship, 1 unfinished fight. And this time, someone might actually die for good.